Hi, second graders, Miss Shannon here. If you came to math small group this morning, you can skip this video. This is for students who did not come to math small group this morning. If you did come, you have already done this part of the lesson with me. Okay? All right, so this is now, if you are still watching, it means you did not come to math small group today. If that is the case, please remember to come at your scheduled time. We are going to be practicing using 1,000 cubes today. 1,000. How many squares are there in all on your screen? Take a moment to count now. There are 10. There are 10 squares in all. There are 5 in the top row and 5 on the bottom row. 5 plus 5 equals 10. Take a look now at your screen. How are these two pictures similar or different? The top row has the green and yellow squares from the previous slide. And the picture below is a 10 strip. It has 10 squares but closer together. So how are these similar or different? Some of your classmates said that they both have 10 squares. Another classmate said the top has yellow and green squares and the bottom just has green squares. And another classmate said that the bottom one has the same number of squares. They're just squished together, as if someone pushed all of those 10 together. So something we learned is that the top and the bottom both have 10 squares. They're just shown differently. In the top one, the squares are single by themselves, and in the bottom one, they are squished together to make a 10 stick. How many? How many squares are there in one strip? Well, take a look. How many of the squares are in one of those strips? There are 10. You are now going to count by tens and label the strips to find out how many squares there are in all on this screen. You can count with me. 10, 20, 30. Did you continue counting? Let's double check and see. How many squares are there in all? There are 100 in all. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. 100 in all. Now take a look at this. How are these two pictures the same or different? What do you notice between the green and yellow and the red? Here's what some of your classmates said in small group. Each strip has 10 small squares. So each of these have 10 small squares. They can also see 10 red strips on the big red square. So you can see there are still columns or strips of 10 in the big red square. Someone else said, I counted the strips by tens. There are 100 small squares. So again, counting by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. The next student said, I counted 100 small squares in the large red square. They are the same. Well, you can also count by columns in this to double check. There are 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10 small squares in each column. So let's count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. There is 100 small squares for each of those pictures. Whoa! So if we know there are 100 small squares in each of the red boxes, I want you to count and label by 100s to find how many small squares there are in all. Okay, you can skip count by 100s with me. Here we go. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. Is the next number, is it 1000 or is it something different, second graders? It is 1000. We're skip counting by hundreds. What comes after 900 is 1000. So on this slide, there are 1000 tiny red squares all together. There are 10 groups of 100 to equal 1000. So these are the number pieces we will be using during Unit 5, and these are the shapes we've been working with today. The big red block shows 100. The skinnier green strip shows 10. And the small yellow square shows 1. Let's look at the 100s block. The 100s block is the same as 10 tens because I can fit 10 strips of 10 on top of this block. It is also the same as 100 ones. I can fit 100 of the yellow squares on top of this red block. Now let's look at the strip of 10. One 10 strip is the same as how many ones? How many of the yellow squares can I fit on the green 10 strip? 10. So one 10 strip is the same as 10 ones. So how many ones, tens, and hundreds do you see in this picture? Let's look again. What are some ways you can describe the number that's modeled on your screen? You can see 10 hundreds squares. 10 hundreds is equal to 1000. You could count 1000 ones. Or maybe you see that there are 10 tens in each 100. And since there are 10 hundreds squares, then there are 100 tens. We are going to be using picture models and number models with hundreds, tens, and ones throughout this entire unit, second graders. So make sure you have those in mind, that the red square equals 100, the green strip is 10, and the yellow square is 1. Hundreds, tens, and ones. Okay, now you're ready to watch the next video for the second part of our lesson. And remember, please come to small group tomorrow.